It's honestly humbling when you hear just kind of your opening remarks. You try not to read the press clippings about yourself and kind of stay grounded to who you are. But ultimately, you do have to start this off with saying thank you to people that are extremely important to you and why you're here today. First and foremost, President Seidel and the Board of Trustees, massive amount of gratitude for their swiftness in this process. Director of Athletics Tom Berman and Matt Wisnat at the same time, as Matt came through in the clutch in a lot of different ways. My family, Barb and Mark Wicks, who resided in Gillette, Wyoming for a long time, and now we're living the beautiful retirement life in the Black Hills of Rapid City, South Dakota. I have to thank them for teaching me how to be cowboy tough. If they wouldn't have moved our ass out of the trailer park to 15 miles outside of town on a dirt road, I don't know if I'd still be here, all right? So they taught us how to dribble on pavement in town, and they taught us how to dribble on rocks out of town. So you had to be a pretty dang good ball handler if you're living on 426 Forest Road. And lastly, my amazing wife, Courtney. It's always, you're behind every good man, they say, is a much better woman. And she absolutely is that. When I met her at Northern State, I found my soulmate. I found somebody who made me better. And what I love most about her is that she continues to relentlessly work as a coach's wife. She doesn't sit back, hang on. She goes out there and she does the work herself. She leads the family. She leads our son. She leads our daughter. She leads me. And because of that, I know we're pretty damn tough. And that's a big, big deal for me, to have a wife who works so my daughter can see her working, and to be raised in a family that's got someone as strong as her. So I'm extremely grateful for my wife, because I think that's one of those values that my mom and dad taught me now, having been married for, I'm 43, 45 years. I mean, that's a long time, man. That's a long time. So those thank yous are out of the way. Now let's get down to business, all right? Let's get down to brass tacks. And it's good to see some of our players here. I'm glad Kobe dressed up for the occasion. Look good, Kobe. Yep. I just wish he still would have stayed in a white beater, man. That'd have been way more impressive. Who gave you that shirt? I know you didn't have that when you walked in here. Dang. Court, I think you've been here for 14 years now, so I don't know, Court might be the longest standing Cowboy in the history of Cowboy basketball. Still hasn't grown, so I don't know what the hell's going on over there. We thought if she just came out to the west, she'd just grow a little bit more, Court. But yeah, I love seeing guys, man, that are here to support who we are and what we're about. To be completely honest, this was always the dream. This was always the dream. And I can wholeheartedly say that just because when I was born, my mom and dad put me in a brown and gold jumpsuit. I think the newspaper stole it a couple years ago, but when I was born, they put me in a brown and gold jumpsuit. In 1998, 99, Larry Scheid offered me a scholarship to become a Wyoming Cowboy. It was like one of the greatest days of my life. It never came to fruition, but it made the dream real, that it could actually be done. Then I got to go work with Jay Savell, to be honest with you. And life's funny how it works out, because in 2007, 2011, I'm working alongside Jay Savell at Northern Illinois. And here we are today as head coach of Wyoming basketball and head coach of Wyoming football. And that's a pretty unique story. And lastly, Coach Linder brought me back to Wyoming. And when he brought me back, I thought I was going to be here for good. But as as Tom said, in the words of George Bush, strategery. All right, strategery was involved. And when the worst program in college basketball called last year, people asked me why I would go take the worst job in college basketball. Well, I've never been a Division I basketball coach. And guess what I had to be to become a Division I basketball coach at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay? I had to become that to become the Division I basketball coach at the University of Wyoming. Had I not done that and quote-unquote bet on yourself, I don't think we'd be sitting here today. And you don't quite understand why it never worked out the way it was supposed to work out, but that's why they call it the journey. The path is the path. And you embrace everything along your journey to get to this moment where you are right now. And I live by 3 simple codes. You got to trust your work, you got to trust God, and then you have to stay loyal to your journey. And so many times I think we forget that the loyalty to your journey is almost the most important part. Because everybody's going to tell you you should do this or you should do that or you should make this move or make that move, and ultimately you have to stay loyal to your own journey. Trust your work, make sure your work's good, trust God, and stay loyal to your journey. 43 years ago I was born. 25 years ago was offered by Larry Scheid. 4 years ago was brought here by Coach Linder, who I'm forever grateful for, because if I would not be here if it were not for Coach Linder. Would not be in this situation right now today. 1 year ago, Green Bay stole me away, And today we're back diving into the Cowboy way. And it is an honor to be here because Wyoming isn't just special to me, it is home. It's not just special, it's home. And that hits different when you say something like that. So anybody could come up here and say Wyoming's a special place, but not everybody could come up here and say Wyoming's home. Wyoming is home. And in this state, everyone is a cowboy or a cowgirl. Absolutely everyone is a cowboy or a cowgirl. There's no one else you can be. You can either be a cowboy or you can be a cowgirl. That's your only choices. So we've taken out the process of like elimination by just saying you get one choice in Wyoming. You're a cowboy or you're a cowgirl. And everybody embraces that. That's the most beautiful part about being in Wyoming is they just take the damn decision fatigue out of it all. This is the Wild West. And I know this, Coach Seaman, Nick Seaman and I laugh a lot about that being in the Wild West because there's a code of the West. But I also think there's a code of the best. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the code of the best, not the code of the West. And it's ironic that best starts with B-E. Now I'm going to tell a story about Papa Wicks. If you know anything about Papa Wicks, my old man, he's an interesting cat. I'm often reminded that we're super busy as humans. We're always busy, way too busy. And my dad one day, he was jacking around in his old hippie kind of way. And Papa Wicks goes, you know, Sonny, you just need to be a human being. I'm like, I am a human being, Dad. I don't know what you're talking about. See, I think too often times we're human doings. We're trying to do something all the time. But there's a reason why we're called human beings. And sometimes you just need to be. You need to be where you are. You need to be more. You need to be present. You need to be a better person today than you were yesterday. And stop focusing on doing too much and start being. And so I'm not going to sit up here today and tell you what I'm going to do for the program. I'm going to tell you what we need to be for this program, what the state of Wyoming needs to be for Cowboy basketball. What I need to be, what we need to be, what my staff needs to be, what our players need to be for Cowboy basketball to take the next step. And we need to be truth tellers before we can be dream sellers. We need to be truth tellers before we can be dream sellers. Shout out to Jimmy Edel right here. But mean what you say and say what you mean. It's hard to get the truth nowadays. The goal is to have an honest conversation, an intentionally honest conversation, and get to the point as fast as you possibly can. And when you are a truth teller, you tell the truth. You are a truth teller before you're a dream seller. You're going to tell some hard truths, and those hard truths are going to hurt. But ultimately, that allows us to make the next choice. And when you tell hard truths and it's received and delivered correctly and quickly and it's communicated correctly and quickly in the right way, that response to telling the truth usually comes in hard work. It allows people to make the choice to dig into the work. The response to hard truths becomes hard work. And so be truth tellers before we can be dream sellers. And I think Wyoming hangs their hat on being pretty bold and pretty brash and telling the truth. Secondly, we need to be available and we need to be vulnerable. We need to be available and we need to be vulnerable. And when I say that, it means the best ability is availability. To show up every single day, no matter or regardless of circumstances. To show up every single day, regardless of the circumstances, that's bring your own juice. Bringing your own juice is being available to our staff, to our players, to our community, to the cities around us, to the state of Wyoming, being available in the right way every single day. Showing up with your own juice, your own energy, your own effort, your own enthusiasm. The same way every single day, regardless of circumstance. To me, that's what BYOJ means. And that's not cheating the opportunity because there's going to be a million opportunities that we're going to have as players, as staff, as a community to go out there and impact those around us. That's showing up to a meet and greet the right way, showing up to a coffee or a luncheon, going to a community event in Casper, whatever that is, a practice, a game. We need to show up every single day the right way by being available because the best ability is available. Now, the most impactful ability is vulnerability. It's our scars and our stories that connect us, that bind us. The most impactful ability is vulnerability. And we don't want to take the struggle out of things anymore. Let's stop trying to take the struggle and take the pain and take the suffering out of things. Let's feel it. Let's embrace it. Because ultimately, vulnerable experiences create superhumans. And superhumans do amazing things that nobody thought was possible. And so for our players, we're going to be available. We're going to be vulnerable. We're not going to take the pain and the suffering and the hurt out of it. We're going to let you feel it. We want you to feel it. We're going to let you embrace it. And then because of that, we're going to have superhuman powers because we're going to be connected through those vulnerable stories that bind us. I think it's extremely important to be available and to be vulnerable. Let's see if I can figure out my pages here. There we go. There's a lot. I told you. Yeah, the third thing that we need to be is we need to be an enemy of the status quo. Now, I learned this from my time at Missouri Western working for Josh Looney. You need to be an enemy of the status quo. See, we have to think differently around here. If we take the path that everybody else is taking, we're going to get the same results that everybody else is getting. And that's not us. That's not the cowboy way. So we need to be an enemy of the status quo. We need to take the path that nobody else wanted to take. Think differently about the way things are, win in the margins that others didn't think existed. And because of that, that's going to give us a chance at success. Because we're different out here in Wyoming. Right? There's a reason why we have an 86% non-conference home winning streak in last recent years, or non-conference winning percentage, and a 73% home winning percentage since we joined the Mountain West. Nobody wants to come to Laradice. Good. Stay out. Okay? Come in here, get your ass kicked, and go home. All right? That's the job. That's the job. So we have to be an enemy of the status quo. 4, we got to be interested. We got to be interested and invested in watching others achieve their dreams. We have to be invested in watching others achieve their dreams. Others, not ourselves. Selfish dreams don't come true. My college coach told me that one time, and it stuck with me forever. Selfish dreams don't come true. True happiness begins where selfishness ends, and what we're going to do is we're going to demand greatness from our players. We're going to demand greatness from our staff. We're going to demand greatness from you as a community to support us. We're going to demand it. We're going to demand it. But we're going to lead with love. We're going to freely give support to those around us who need it. WYO stopped in the office the other day, and they brought 4,000 Mountain Mary cookies, and I just thought they were trying to give me a big diabetes rush. And so I was like, well, why don't we just bring some bananas in here for a second, you know, like we did. Then I gave them to everybody else in the office, but they stopped in, and they freely gave. They gave cookies. They gave trinkets. They gave about 14 little finger puppets. All right, they gave hats, and they came in and they asked, what do I need? And it's one of the most impactful things because I'm sitting here saying, well, what do you need? I want to give what you guys, what do you want from me? And that's true support. That's true love. And to me, that's where they're invested in watching us succeed. And we need more people who are invested in watching others succeed around you, to freely give that love and support, to lead with it, and then to do it day in and day out. Lastly, and I think this is the most important, what we need to be is we all need to be a cowboy. Right? We all need to be a cowboy. And I could recite the code of the West if you wanted, but to me the code of the best was sitting right here. Be truth tellers before your dream sellers. Be available and vulnerable. There it is. Be available and vulnerable. Be an enemy of the status quo, and be invested in watching others achieve their dreams. Lastly, be a cowboy. And what does that mean? Well, in the words of our man Craig Bull, Craigers, as we like to call him around here, right, Nick Seaman? To the proud people in the great state of Wyoming, honor the brown and gold, ride for the brand, and as Craig Bull would say, Powder River. You got it. You know what it is. You know what it is right there. I've always wanted to do that. Every time I saw him do it, I was like, that's like the coolest freaking thing I've ever seen. It's way better when Craig does it, but I'm going to keep doing it because I want to carry on that tradition. Powder River, let her buck, so we'll try it again. Powder River! Hell yes, let's go for that right there. I like that one. I'm going to open it up for a couple questions here. To be honest with you, man, there's a lot of stuff in the Code of the West. We could. It says talk less and say more. So I don't want to talk a whole lot because there's a lot of stuff we still got to do. I'm probably expecting a phone call from a recruit here, so if you make me miss that, you all owe me 5 push-ups. All right? But if you got a couple questions that are impactful, please ask them. Feel free to answer them any way I can.
Sonny, again, welcome home. What did you learn most about yourself as a Division I coach last year?
Well, one, it's extremely hard. And it's hard as a Division II coach. It's hard as an NAIA coach. It's hard as a JUCO coach. It's hard as a Division III coach. And it's hard as a Division I coach. It's always hard. But what I learned about myself last year was that you have to hire really well. You have to have a great staff. And I got a phenomenal staff right now. I've worked with V and Tim. I know Coach Whitmore because he worked with my brother at San Francisco. Coach Reynolds, Coach Monahan. Got a phenomenal staff. And I think that's a big part of this is because it's not just one person. You have to have everybody going in the same direction. And so we hire men with intention. They act with intentionality. We hire energy givers and difference makers in the community. That's who we hire. We hire artists of their craft, people who think differently outside the box. And so what I learned about me was, I had to go hire for the first time. I didn't hire friends. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I didn't hire friends. I didn't hire the guys that I grew up with or knew for a long time. I went outside the box and hired people that I knew could get the job done and do it at a high level, and have worked at all levels, lower levels especially, because to have that kind of that suck and scum mentality, and those guys have done it in the trenches and worked at hard jobs, they're going to be way more appreciative of stuff we have here, because we have phenomenal resources, we have an amazing administration, and the type of support you have in Wyoming is unparalleled. So for me, what I learned was any job's a hard job, but when you got great people around you, you don't hire the position, you hire the person. And so hiring correctly is the number one thing you have to learn about yourself as a head coach. And I'm not going to, let me just not forget this guy, because, we've all talked about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq before, right? Well, I like to introduce the weapon of mass production, ladies and gentlemen, our strength coach, Jimmy Edel, the weapon of mass production. He is the most elite strength coach in the United States of America. And just put him gassed up right here, so nobody better call him for a job. He's staying here, all right?
Sonny, it's been about a month now. How are you feeling about the roster you've been able to put together so far?
Yeah, you just got to pivot quickly, right? You got to be light on your feet. I'm nowhere near the Millward Simpson athlete that I was a while back. Let me just tell you that. But I do remember everybody that sat up on that stage with me. All right, Marcus Bailey, Ryan McGuffey, Casey Bramlett, Jacques Finn, some dudes right there. And all four of those dudes played at the University of Wyoming. Some real guys. Two of the coolest text messages I got when I got the job, Alex, were from Casey Bramlett and Marcus Bailey. I'm like, you talk about that. Now, what's sickening and disgusting at the same time is that Marcus Bailey still haunts me to this day, and he's sitting right over my shoulder on a mural behind me. So I come into the office every day motivated to kick ass because Bailey kicked my ass. So, it's awesome to be part of the tradition and history again. But what was your question? Roster. Yeah, roster. Okay, there we go. Unique, right? Did you say unique, McKinney? Old man McKinney. Don't let his smooth taste fool you. Crap, he's the biggest swindler of them all over there. Okay, the roster. Yeah, we put together a roster really quick, right? And some of those we had connections to in Green Bay, where people don't remember, but just a short couple weeks ago, we were going to be one of the top teams coming back in the Horizon League based on the roster we had. We always try to recruit above our level, but also to that point, the game's changed nowadays. We dive into the metrics a lot, so we try to recruit players who are undervalued, maybe statistically, or by a metric that people overlook. So they're undervalued, they're overlooked, and they're underappreciated, and they got a chip on their shoulder, and they want to prove some things. That sounds pretty Wyoming to me, right? And so that roster we put together are a bunch of people who are hungry, humble, and want to get after it. And we've done it in a short amount of time, but that means no sleep from the staff. That means guys got to be on their game, and we got to pivot correctly because we got told no a couple times, and we still have to get it done. And we got one more roster spot to fill, and I think if we hit this last one, we're going to be feeling really good about the team we're building, because here's the deal. We build teams. Teams win championships, right? The best teams you've seen in Wyoming history, teams. That 2015 team. Was anybody sitting there talking about how good Riley Grabo's body looked? I don't think so. Riley Grabo and Jeff Hornacek could get into bad puking competition, all right? And Riley Grabo's getting married July 19th, and I freaking love that dude. But that's the type of guys you get that you win. You win with teams out here. And we're going to be built, not bought. That's just who we are. We're going to build our teams. We're going to continue to build our teams. And we're going to find guys who fit us, fit our style, and want to be part of a team. Because there's two goals that we have every year, man. It's to be the most connected team on the schedule and the most competitive team on the schedule. I didn't say win all the games. I said connected and competitive. If you could be connected and have elite chemistry, and you could be the most competitive team on your schedule where you're just not going to bend over, like you're just going to take it, right? You got to come every night. You got to bring your hard hat and lunch pail every single night. Like that's the type of team we're going to be. Yeah, did I just say that? Did we strike that from the record? Yep. Okay, got it. Yeah.
Coach, how do you think that your love for this state has helped you bring not only guys in now, but will help you recruit guys in the future?
Well, I think one is nobody's going to care about this more than me. Okay, it's going to be really hard to beat my care factor. How much I love the state of Wyoming, how much Wyoming has done for me, being born and raised here. Nobody's going to be able to out-care me for Wyoming. So they're going to feel that, they're going to see that, they're going to hear that in my voice every single day, because we're going to put on for the state. And that's just, and when they feel that and that passion exudes from you, I think it's really hard, right? I tell people, if you don't match my energy, you're going to get demoralized real fast. It's going to be hard for you to show up every single day if you don't have some relentless juice and the same amount of competitiveness to you. And so my love for the state of Wyoming is going to shine through in everything that we do. And hopefully that reaches to all corners of the state, and those people feel that as well, and they want to come out and support it, because I think you can do crazy things, man, when people believe. Crazy things when people believe. And the more belief you have in what we're doing and how we're doing it and why we're doing it, and the more authentic and transparent we are about our processes for everybody, like, then they're just going to rally behind that. And so when the players come in and they're on a visit, like, look, I'm available, right? I'm available and I'm vulnerable. It's fun. I mean, we sat last night at a recruit dinner. It was probably one of the funnest recruit dinners I've ever had. We just sat there for 2 hours and told stories back and forth. And it wasn't one of those weird, awkward, sitting at a table moments. It's just embracing and enjoying who we are and telling the stories about why we're here and the stuff that connects us. And so I think it's going to be really hard for anybody to beat us in terms of our love and care and connection to the process and to the community and the state of Wyoming for what we're doing. And we're just going to continue to show that over and over again. And look, you got to get okay with no. People are going to say no, and that's fine. My college coach used to say the best recruits are the ones you don't get. Because ultimately, if they didn't come, they didn't want to come here anyways. Why would you want them? If you got to beg a guy to stay, you got to beg a guy to play. And we're not going to beg you to stay, we're not going to beg you to play. But when you're here, we're going to love the crap out of you, all right? And like I said, we're going to love the crap out of you. We're going to be truth tellers. Let's find that page again. Where's that at? Yeah. And we're going to be invested. We're going to be invested in their dreams. And so we got to appreciate people for the time that we have them. I mean, you know, it's like nowadays it's changed. You got to appreciate people for the time that you have them, and not be upset or angry or mad about the time you lost. All right. So anybody who's ever lost a loved one, like, you may feel bitter about that, but ultimately, like, you got to look back and say, did you value the time you had with them? What were you doing with the time you had with your loved ones while they're here? That's what's important. And so we're going to continue to be invested in that. And I think that's going to be hard to beat in the long run.
Sonny, it's been such a whirlwind for you since May 12th. Putting together the staff, the roster, probably figuring out how to move back here again from Green Bay. Has this sunk in that you're realizing a dream? And if it has sunk in, what does that feel like?
It hasn't sunk in. And it won't sink in probably until we're going out for the first game in the AA. You walk down the tunnel and you hit the Honor the Brown and Gold sign. And then you see the faithful out there. And you see a packed house and you get the chills because your players get to play in front of a crowd that is supporting you, not only as a native son, but supporting you in the process and the way you guys do it and the way we do it. That's probably when it'll sink in, to be honest with you. Right now, there's just too much work to be done that you don't have time to sit back and celebrate it yet. And people always tell you, man, the greatest advice that everybody else gives you is enjoy it. Enjoy the journey. Have so much fun. This seems so great. It seems amazing. All right, sell your house, buy a new house. Make sure your realtor's got your crap lined up, K-Mac. And then you got to move your kids out here, and you got to find daycare, and then you got to decide if you're going to get them an Indian paintbrush or what do you and all these things go on. And you have no time to think about enjoying it. You just try to get it done. And then you got to go build a roster, and you got to get a staff connected, and you got to go make sure all the things are getting done on a daily basis. That just, for me, I love the chaos. Like, this is what I thrive in. Like, I love this crap. My wife, she's over here going, this stuff sucks. I don't know what we're doing right now. Like, why are we doing this again? She's like, please never move ever again. I was like, all right, well, that sounds good. All right, so it hasn't sunk in yet, to your point. I like to give long-winded answers to short questions, Ryan. So you're going to find that out real fast. Press conferences are going to last longer than usual. Okay.
Just a comment. My wife probably plays at least twice a week. A little video you did with your daughter about winning, what champions do.
Yep.
School bus at the end.
Yep, school bus, yeah.
That's one of the cutest things I've ever seen.
And my daughter's pretty cute.
Yeah. And she probably plays that at least twice a week ever since you posted it.
Well, I mean, and this is the point. I mean, you never know what could impact anybody, right? So we're always going to never cheat the opportunity. And if it's an opportunity to, like, my family is really important to me. I told you I love when my wife works. My kids are going to be out there. I'm public and professional on social media. We don't hide our family. We're out there because we want to be out there. We want to be in the community. And it's important to me. But also, like, my daughter's amazing. She's a highly empathetic human being. She's super cool, and she hates when her dad coaches her, so that sucks for me, right? Because I started way too early with Grace, right? Skywalker, he got a little bit less of the, like, oh, everything's fun still. Everything's fun, so he still likes it. But, parenting's hard. You learn it. And Coach V always says everybody should enjoy the joys and pains of parenting, and that's one of the joyful moments. Also, where's Ralph at? Ralph, where you at? Hey, Ralph, good to see you, buddy. So I'm coming up the elevator with Ralph. And Ralph hands me a newspaper clipping, and I thought it was going to be really cool about me. And he goes, here's a recruit in Colorado. Thanks, Ralph. Thanks. We'll get on that, Ralph. Just want to let you know that. So, yeah. Any more questions? Good to go? All right. Sounds good.